effective deterrent to crime, which I gave a very alarming yes to that. First of all, I would love to define some key words associated to this topic: death penalty. Death penalty is a legal process in which an individual is sentenced to death as a punishment for the crime he or she committed. Deterrent to crime. It is an action or measure that discourages people from criminal acts. Here are elucidating points of mine to reinforce my argument. 1. Fear of execution. The possibility of being sentenced to death can create fear for potential criminals, making them to think twice before committing any criminal act. 2. Obstacle for extreme crime. For particularly brutal crimes such as murder, terror, or mass violence, the death penalty serves as a stronger deterrent than lesser sentence. 3. Quick justice. The death penalty can help speed up justice for victims and their family, ensuring that dangerous individuals are quickly removed from the society. 4. Protect society. 4. Prevent reoffending. The death penalty ensures that criminals cannot commit further crime, therefore eliminating the risk of reoffending. 5. Protect society. By eliminating dangerous criminals, the death penalty protects innocent citizens from future harm. 6. Symbolic justice. The death penalty symbolizes state involvement in maintaining law and order and also standing firm against criminal behavior. 7. Cultural effects. In many societies, the death penalty has a long-standing tradition and acts as a cultural deterrent. 8. Cost of crime. The potential cost of facing the death penalty might be overwhelmed with the potential benefit for criminals. 9. Effective in certain regions. In many countries or regions where the death penalty is regularly reinforced, I will tell you, prevention of mass murder, high individuals, the death penalty saying reinforced law and order. Death penalty saying reinforced law and order. The death penalty demonstrates the seriousness. The death penalty demonstrates the seriousness in which a state treats law and violence.
This is I Beg to Differ on 92.3 Nigeria Info. The conversation continues in a moment.
All right, so we bring to the microphone the opposer of the motion, and she is this morning Miss Kokoette. Godsgoodness. Good morning to you once again.
Good morning, sir.
All right, so can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So you know the rules. 4 minutes for your opening salvo. You are against the motion. All right. After this, we'll get to the rebuttals, which you will begin. Is that clear, please?
Yes, sir.
All right. So she has the same set time, 4 minutes for her opening salvo. Miss Kokoette, your time starts now.
According to Indian nationalist Mahatma Gandhi, an eye for an eye would only end up making the whole world blind. And just as the former US President Jimmy Carter puts it, the death penalty is a cruel and unusual punishment that undermines human dignity and the value of human life. Good day, erudite panel of judges, my opponent seated here, the presenter or moderator, and our ever-attentive audience. This is Godsgoodness Kokoette once again on I Beg to Differ Season 4, and I am here today to contend unequivocally that the death penalty is not an effective deterrent to crime. It has never been, and I have a large barrage of points to buttress my stand. My points are: 1. Lack of conclusive evidence. There is no conclusive evidence that the death penalty can deter criminals more effectively than life imprisonment. You see, the execution of hardened criminals like Lawrence Anini and Monday Osunbo in the late 80s did not lead to a reduced rate of crime in the Nigeria's crime statistics, but however gave birth to the likes of Shona Rambo. 2. Inconsistent application. The death penalty may be consistently applied with the factors such as race, socioeconomic status, and geography influencing who receives the death penalty. 3. Arbitrary nature. The decision to impose the death penalty may be arbitrary, with similar crimes serving different punishments. So tell me, you have Reverend King sentenced to death by hanging for murder, and an environmentalist like Nsarawiwa killed by hanging. 4. Studies suggest that there is no correlation between death and lower rates. Death penalty center in the US, that's the average is who had the death penalty 1.3 as 2020, while the average rate of countries without penalty was 4.7. 5. Deterrent effect. The deterrent effect of the death penalty is overstated, with many criminologists arguing that it has little or no impact in the crime rates. 6. Impulsive behavior. Many criminals act impulsively, and for this impulsive behavior, the death penalty is rather too extreme. 7. Mental health issues. A lot of people who commit capital crime suffer from mental health issues, and death penalty is not a solution to this problem. The solution is therapy and not death. 8. Global poverty. As long as global poverty continues to grow, so would violent crimes, and death would not be a deterrent. 9. Ineffective to serial offenders. The death penalty is ineffective for serial offenders who continue to commit crime despite the threat of punishment. Take the likes of Ted Bundy into consideration, one of the most notorious serial killers in America, who admitted to killing 30 women in the 1970s. 10. It does not address root causes. The death penalty does not address root causes like inequality, lack of access to education, and unemployment. Also, there is the risk of executing the innocent. There is a risk of executing the innocent, which undermines the legitimacy of the death penalty. Also, the high cost of appeals. The appeals process for the death penalty is lengthy and expensive, which could impose a burden on taxpayers. Also, there is lack of international support. I tell you that a lot of countries are increasingly rejecting the death penalty as it is no longer a very good way of deterring crime. I tell you that the US has rejected and abolished the death penalty, and now has signed the Human Convention Rights, which does not allow the use of capital punishment. I believe that with this valid points of mine, I have been able to show that the death penalty is not an effective deterrent to crime. Thank you.
All right, 3 minutes and 36 seconds. Very similar to her opponent's opening salvo as well. Now it's time for us to get to their rebuttal statements, and we'll get into it very quickly. Stay tuned. I beg to differ. Debate returns. Don't forget, you can follow us on Facebook and on YouTube. On Facebook at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH, on YouTube at Nigeria Info PH 92.3, at Nigeria Info PH 92.3.
This is I Beg to Differ. The conversation continues in a moment.
Are you having problems listening to us via the Nigeria Info app? Experiencing any bugs? Worry no more. Just click on settings and turn on the button which says always use highest available audio quality, and that's it. No more bugs. 92.3 Nigeria Info FM, your number one talk radio station.
Is the death penalty an effective deterrent to crime? Well, that is the topic before our students this morning. We have Orike Bestman, who is supporting the motion, and Miss Kokoette, who is opposing the motion. We've listened to their opening salvos. It's time for us to get to have their rebuttals. We start the rebuttal segment with Miss Kokoette as she is ready to give us her rebuttals. Miss Kokoette, good morning once again.
Morning, sir.
Okay, so I need to confirm. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir.
And are you good to go?
I'm good to go,
All
sir.
right, the same time allocation, 4 minutes. Your time starts now.
Panel of judges, all protocols duly observed. I remain Godsgoodness Kokoette, and I am back in full effect to debunk some arguments advanced by my opponents. You see, my opponent has presented a flawed argument that the death penalty is an effective deterrent to crime. But I put it to you, however, that the death penalty is not an effective deterrent to crime, and you haven't cited any previous research or claim to prove this point. However, I show you that a lot of researchers have proved the ineffectiveness of the death penalty, which include the Human Research Council in 2012, the National Research Council in 2012, the American Civil Liberties Union in 2017, and an FBI crime data that found that countries that involve the death penalty has had higher murder rates than countries without it. Also, my opponent has not shown any single shred of evidence to buttress his claims, but according to the French philosopher Albert Camus, capital punishment is one of the most premeditated murders to which no criminal's deed, however calculated, can be compared, which shows that the death penalty is not an effective deterrent to crime, and even empirical evidence does not support it. I wish my opponent had talked about the fear of executing the innocent. You see, I put it to you, my dear, that there have been cases, even here in Nigeria, where people have been wrongly convicted and executed. This questions the reliability of the justice system. When you take a person to jail and find out the person is innocent, innocent, you can simply release them. But what happens when this individual has been killed? Bring the dead back to life? Also, my opponents did not think about the issue of lack of rehabilitation. You see, the death penalty does not give room for the possibility of rehabilitation and restorative justice, which could also help the individual and the victim's family. Now, let me add more points. The death penalty disproportionately affects marginalized communities, including ethnic and racial minorities, and also people suffering from mental health issues. Also, many people and many societies are arguing that the death penalty is morally and ethically wrong, as it involves the intentional taking of a human life. And I agree with them with my full chest, as it is said in the local Nigerian parlance. Thank you, and stay out of crime.
All right, 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Thank you, and stay out of crime, she says. Time for us to get to hear the rebuttal statement from the supporter of the motion. And in this case, it is Master Orike, Bestman. We'll come back right after this break.
This is I Beg to Differ on 92.3 Nigeria Info. The conversation continues in a moment.
So quick on the bounce, 21 minutes gone past the hour. We're back with I Beg to Differ. My name is Jude, and it's time for us to get to hear the rebuttal statement from Master Orike Bestman. You have listened to your opponent, and it's time for us to hand over the microphone to you. Now, the clock is being reset to 0. Master Bestman, good morning once again.
Good morning, sir.
All right, so I've turned up your volume. Can you hear me clearly, please?
Yes, sir.
All right, you know the rules. 4 minutes allocated to you for your rebuttal statement. Your time starts now.
Standing courageously before you still remains Orike Bestman Isioma. Still on the argument if the death penalty is an effective deterrent to crime. Well, I still give an active yes to that question. And I would love to counter my opponent's point. 1, you said inconsistent application. Did you know that the death penalty will be applied inconsistently when majors like you arise to oppose the fact that it is effective? Errors in the justice system. The execution of an innocent life would be errors in the justice system, not the fact that it is an effective deterrent to crime or it is done inconsistently. Here are more solid points to add up to the reason I want to enlighten you that the death penalty is an effective deterrent to crime. 1, historical precedent. The death penalty has been used throughout history as a means of punishment. 2, retribution. The death penalty is a form of retribution, reflecting the gravity of certain crimes. 3, public protection. The death penalty protects the public from violent offender who poses a risk on the society. 4, incapacitation. The death penalty ensures that criminals are incapacitated to prevent further crimes. 5, murder rate decrease. In countries where the death penalty has been introduced, like New York, the death penalty has been reduced. Ladies and gentlemen, while opposing the fact, let us stand firm to ensure that the death penalty is employed globally. I believe with these solid points of mine, I've been able to convince you beyond reasonable doubt that the death penalty is an effective deterrent to crime. Thank you.
All right, thank you. 1 minute and 41 seconds on the clock. That's all it took for Orike Bestman to deliver his rebuttal statement. So take a break. When we come back, there are closing arguments. This is the final hoorah for either of these wonderful contestants. Stay tuned.
Report Hackers Season 4 from 24 February to March 10. Witness bright young minds make a case as to why they have the superior argument.
Societies do not grow nor assume identities in isolation, because as Vince Lombardi put it, individual commitment to a group effort is what makes a team work, a company work, a society work, and even a civilization work.
In many developing countries, masses sell up their votes to non-people with questionable character. They recycle old corrupt politicians because their corruption scandal makes little or no difference to their voting decision.
Go beyond the tension, show composure, exhibit fluency, show your oratory skills, and win 1 million naira.
It is vile, malicious, uncharitable for you to stir up such temerity to belittle the capacity of our beloved teachers.
I Beg to Differ Season 4, February 24 to March 10. Tune in weekdays 10 a.m. to 12 noon on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Well, it's still 92.3 Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ debate, broadcasting live from the city of Port Harcourt. We're in our studios with our guests. The quarterfinals have started. First round between Orike, Bestman, and Miss Godsgoodness, Kokoette in the studio as well. But before we continue, I'd like to say a big thank you to our supporters of this program. A special thanks to CAD & Co. If you want great deals for your branding, for your printing, for your designs, with CAD & Co, you have the job as good as done. Call on them for customized school uniforms, school blazers, industrial overalls, sportswear, security wear, cardigans, laboratory coats, and many more. They are located at Bandengi Plaza, Expanse Oil and Gas Filling Station, adjacent to Gulf Estate, Okuru Road, Port Harcourt. Or you could simply just call them with the number 091 350-00846 091 350-00846. Now, whilst we are saying our thank you to our special partners, let's not also forget to thank the judges led by Sir Ikechi Wogu for the work that they are putting through. It's time for the final hoorah, if I can say so, this morning. The closing arguments from both of these lovely contestants. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start with the supporter of the motion. In this case, that person is Orike Bestman Isioma. Mr. Bestman, good morning once again.
Good morning, sir.
All right, thank you once again. You know the drill, but this time around, we are giving you 3 minutes for your closing arguments. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, 3 minutes on the clock. Your time starts now.
With all protocols duly observed, I still remain Orike Bestman Isioma. Still on the argument if the death penalty is an effective deterrent to crime. I still give an actively yes to that question. In conclusion, by imposing the death penalty, the society sends a claim to be tolerated. The death penalty still acts as one of the most powerful deterrents to crime. Statistic data from various studies and countries where the death penalty is in place shows a noticeable decrease in crime rates. The logic behind the death penalty is clear. Let's commit severe criminals if they know that the consequences of their action will result to death. The urgency of redeeming violent crime makes it clear that the death penalty is an indispensable tool. No wonder Adolph F. Barrett, the former New York State Senator, said, "The death penalty serves a purpose by sending a message to the would-be criminals that there are consequences, serious consequences to taking another life. So let us ensure that no life is taken ineffectively and promotes the use of death penalty globally, not just in our country, but worldwide. I still remain the unshakable, the untouchable, and the unmovable Orike Bestman Isioma, and I rest my case. Thank you.
All right, 1 minute and 31 seconds. His case is rested. Closing arguments done and dusted. It's time for the opposer of the motion to do same. Stay tuned.
This is I Beg to Differ on 92.3 Nigeria Info. The conversation continues in a moment.
All right, so we're back with Ms. Kokoette, who is the opposer of the motion, with her final arguments, her closing arguments. Ms. Kokoette, once again, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
All right, so I'm putting the clock back to zeros. You have 3 minutes for your closing arguments. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Your time starts now.
To conclude my perspectives on this issue, I want to re-emphasize that the death penalty is not an effective deterrent to crime, as there are other alternatives. Take the life imprisonment, for example, which allows for severe punishment while also giving for the room for the possibility of restorative justice. You see, this restorative justice focuses more on dealing with the damage done rather than simply punishing offenders. I also recommend rehabilitation centers with counseling sessions, educations, and job opportunities which allow these offenders as to become productive members of the society. And you see that this will help to improve the society and deter crime. Generally, the death penalty is not effective as it has proven its ineffectiveness in the risk of executing innocent people. And according to Archbishop Desmond Tutu, the death penalty is not a solution to crime, but rather a symptom of a society that has lost its way. As it is said in Latin, abstini a crimini, stay out of crime. And now I will say merci beaucoup, and I hope that with these few points of mine, I have been able to prove that the death penalty is not an effective deterrent to crime. Thank you very much.
Well, 1 minute and 8 seconds is all it's taking for her to give her closing argument. What a battle this has been. I've been in the fire, watching and enviously, wishing that I too can be in the debate. But for now, my time is done. But not theirs, as we'll quickly get to hear from them right after this break. Stay tuned.
I Beg to Differ Port Hackers Season 4. From 24 February to March 10, witness bright young minds make a case as to why they have the superior argument.
Societies do not grow nor assume identities in isolation. Because as Vince Lombardi put it, individual commitment to a group effort is what makes a team work, a company work, a society work, and even a civilization work.
In many developing countries, masses sell up their votes to non-people with questionable character. They recycle old corrupt politicians because their corruption scandal makes little or no difference to their voting decision.
Go beyond the tension, show composure, exhibit fluency, show your oratory skills, and win 1 million naira.
It is villain, malicious, uncharitable for you to sum up such temerity to belittle the capacity of our beloved teachers.
I Beg to Differ Season 4, February 24 to March 10. Tune in weekdays 10 a.m. to 12 noon on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, so this is I Beg to Differ debate from Port Harcourt. My name is Jude or Mamegbe. We have our second quarter finalists coming through, our second pair coming through this morning from 11 a.m. You don't want to miss that. Another round of debates, another pair with points that they just cannot wait to get across to you. If you get on Facebook, you get to see our individuals. Right? Those of you who are probably driving right now and your hands are itchy, your fingers are itchy, please, before you look at your phones, do well to stay off the road, to get off the car, get out of the car, get off the road, and you can do so. But if you cannot, please stay with us as we have more to come. Before we say goodbye to our very first pair, let's say a quick hello and have a conversation with both of them. All right, so Miss Kokoette, what a debate that was. Both of you did absolutely fantastic. I'll get to Orike Bestman very shortly, but let's start with you. In your preparations, okay, last week we found out that a lot of you were, standing in front of your mirrors and presenting. You had your cultural day, right, over the weekend.
Yes, sir.
Your friends obviously were dressed up in their attires and everything. Did your friends tell you or ask you, how does it feel? What do you think you're going to do over the Monday debate? Did they talk to you about today's debate?
Yes, they did.
What was your response? What questions did they ask you?
Well, they asked me how I could manage, with the Saturday whole drama and then still come Monday and be calm and composed and give this debate. But I told them that, I've been working on this type of thing. And so I know where to switch moods. So I have to be calm and composed and then out. So.
Okay, so you know when to switch your modes and begin all business-like.
Yes,
now,
sir.
Now, speaking of business-like, I don't know about you guys, and I'll ask Bestman the same question. When I was in secondary school, there used to be this thing we used to call awoko, which is when we'll stay up late in the night to read. Sometimes we'll put our feet in cold water so we'll not sleep. Did you do any of that in your preparations for any exam or even this debate?
I did it for this debate. I stayed up all night yesterday.
Really?
studying and getting my points over and over again.
So it was just you, your mom didn't help this time, but just you?
My mom has been my biggest help throughout this whole thing. She keeps supporting me, and every time I make mistakes, she will tell me that she believes in me, and she's sure that I have done it before and I can do it again.
Okay, all right. So once again, a quick shout out to your school and to your friends and family members.
Okay, I want to give a big shout out to Venocrest Schools Port Harcourt. That is my lovely school, and my principal for her ever support. I also want to give a big shout out to my irreplaceable mom. I mean, she has been my backbone throughout this whole thing, and also my siblings and also my classmates who have helped me to prepare for this. I pray that God will bless them.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Now, Bestman. Whew. The last of 8 children who hate to wash plates. What a debate that was. Dare I say, I wish this was probably the final, because I think both of you, have so far impressed a lot of our listeners. I know you can't see the screen, but let me just quickly pop that up for both of you. There are over 24 comments. We've had at least 20-something plus people watching all over the world, and the shares are increasing. Do you feel any pressure knowing that millions of people are watching you?
Not really. Like, mostly, this is not my... although this is my first time in I Beg to Differ, but this is not my first time in a debate. Yeah. So...
you feel pretty comfortable? Okay,
yes,
so
sir.
Now you just heard, that she was up most of the... late into the night, and mom was helping her. Were you also up late preparing for this?
Yes, sir.
How does that make you feel? Did you wake up like around 7 and like, I'm late, or you had your alarm clock or something? How did that work for you?
Okay, during the weekend, I have severe headache because yes, I was debating 2-for-7 rehearsing, and my sister would be like, yeah, go get it.
Okay,
you can do it. Just motivating me, and
okay,
that's it.
All right, so it's good to know that both families have been motivating their wards here. And Akobondu Njua on Facebook, I think, has given us a very apt definition of this particular debate. He tags it the clash of the titans. Both of you were titanic in this particular one. The results are in, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to get the scores read out, and we'll be saying our goodbyes, sadly, to one of them. But before we do that, Bestman, please, could you, say your hellos and your hugs at your friends and family?
Okay, gives me that mind. Okay, yeah, you can do it. You can stand out. You can show the world the talent you have. And also, the science department of my school, Mrs. Oyeneke Chinonso, and other teachers, even my principal, like he motivated me, and the zonal director. Yeah.
Okay. So all right. Thank you guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to get to hear the results. Drum roll, please. Are in, and it was as tight as any other debate that we have witnessed on this particular show. I Beg to Differ debate. Now, our judges, led by Sir Ikechi Wogu, have sent in their scores, and it's my privilege to reel them out to you. Judge 1 scores that round 52 points for Bestman, and Godsgoodness 59 points. Judge 2 scores that round 41 points for Bestman, and Godsgoodness 43 points. Judge 3, very narrow margins. Bestman 55 points and Godsgoodness 57 points. Ladies and gentlemen, by the power vested in me, and indeed by the results in front of me by our esteemed judges, it is a unanimous decision in favor of Miss Godsgoodness Kokoette, what a performance she has had this morning. Absolutely impressive today. All right, so we have our winner, and we need to give our applause not just for the winner, but indeed for both of them. It was a very, very difficult matchup indeed, and I think I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. But our applause for them both. Okay, all right. So, Bestman, it is not the end for you. Trust me, it is not the end. We want to get to hear more from you. And to you, Kokoette, we wish you all the best going forward. I Beg to Differ debate returns right after the break. We have a new matchup coming at 11 a.m.